Blessings, fam.
What's going on, everybody?
Hi, everybody. It's me,
And
Essence,
Leonard,
and we're here for another episode of
love
Love
and
and
honor.
Honor. So, if you guys have been following what's been going on with us, then you know that I am currently unemployed, and we're navigating that right now. It's been okay. I don't miss working a regular 9 to 5, to be honest with you.
I know it's hard with the kids, so it gotta be. I stayed home with them once or twice, and
Once or twice.
I'm just saying, it's a 9 to 5 plus something. So
It's
shout out to you
24
for handling business out here, boo.
24 hours.
It is
minus
it is.
sleep.
Yeah.
So,
Did you think that you'd be able to get a whole lot, like a list of stuff done because you were home?
I feel like I've been doing a good job with getting a lot done.
You have been getting a lot done, but are you hitting the the level of things you thought you'd be able to do?
Yeah, with the kids here, yeah.
Oh, well, good.
Because I thought that I wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
But I've been getting stuff done. But it's more so focused on the house stuff, like things that I feel don't normally get done because we're always working and we don't seem to have time to do those things. Those are things that I've been getting done, which I've been really wanting to get done. And then there's other things that I've wanted to work on, and I kind of just have been doing some of them. And I'm not stressing out, or I don't feel like I have to finish everything today. It kind of alleviates stress in a sense because, there's other stresses that come along, which currently I'm okay. I feel that God's been giving me peace with.
On top of that, I can kind of see how God is going to make a way in this situation. Like on the financial side of it, I can, like, obviously he's going to have to make a way, but I can see how he can. So I'm getting closer to peace as well.
I believe he can. I can see that he will. I know that he will. I believe that he can. What do you mean by see?
I can look at
that he would.
No, I always believed, but I can look at our scenario and see how God can make things work. You know what I mean?
And you couldn't see it before.
I don't know if I couldn't see it before. I didn't see it before. I wasn't really necessarily looking to see it before. But when I looked to see it, I saw it. So that makes sense.
I don't know.
It makes sense to me. So
that's what matters.
Yeah. Thank you, God.
Yeah. So as long as you have vision.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool. But yeah, so this journey life is interesting, right? Because you have your peaks and your valleys, and they're always there. I don't think anyone's just on a peak forever. I think that's just life. And it doesn't mean that, sometimes people think if you're a follower of Christ, you won't have peaks and valleys. But that is a myth. Everybody has peaks and valleys. It's just when you are a Christ follower, how you handle things or how you react to things or who you turn to or lean on in the midst of everything is different, right?
Yeah.
So you still have those same peaks and valleys when you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. It's just, I think, peace that comes along with it. Yeah. Like there's that peace that surpasses all understanding. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's not something that should be taken lightly. Like, what would I do without peace? And I
go crazy.
Right. But the thing is, like, we be tripping and having our moments just in general, like living life. There's worry will creep in and then you have to escort it out and give it to God. But like, if I didn't have that peace in the midst of going through anything, any trial, like how would I? Because I know things are heavy with God. So imagine if you don't have someone to believe in and rely on and trust in and have faith in
on you
and thinking it was all on you. I think that's where a lot of the peace comes from is knowing that it's not all on me,
right?
And it's not all on you,
right?
And it's beyond what's in our hands, to try to control it all.
The fact of the matter is we're his children and he takes care of us. He takes care of us at the peak and he takes care of us in the valley. He's the same God in both places.
And on the way up and down.
Right.
All the way in between, like he's always there and he always takes care of us. And that's so comforting, right? It's super comforting and knowing. So God is amazing. And we know that. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share.
Oh, you got it in the earlier stuff.
It just popped in my head. I think God reminded me. So if you guys have not done so already, please subscribe to our page. Do that first, okay?
Do that.
And then
and turn on a notification bell. Yeah, I hear you saying that.
Okay,
turn that thing on. Yeah.
Okay, boo. All right. So turn on the notification bell so that you'll get notifications when we come on, even if you're not really, just for support.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's a great way to support us. Just show some love, like, subscribe, and share. And I be seeing people share, especially on like Facebook and stuff.
They be sharing this on the Facebook?
I'm still trying to figure things out. Like, I think the older you get, like, social media is just not as easy as it used to be when I was younger. And so I'm struggling with posting from YouTube to Insta.
I think there's a way to post on YouTube and Insta at the same time.
I'm sure we could look up a YouTube video or Google it or something, but I haven't. And
did we age ourselves?
I don't care. I'm older. Like, it is what it is. I feel like I look good for my age. Like, I don't care about aging as long as you're healthy and well. It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So we want to get you guys caught up so that you know what's going on in our lives. I feel like things are getting easier. Sometimes when I'm like, oh, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to in this day, I remember I don't have to go to work tomorrow, so I can get it done.
There it is.
And it's kind of it's actually more peaceful. I just I'm trusting God that He's going to supply our needs, which He's been doing thus far. And I believe He's going to continue doing. And I pray that we remain faithful to Him as we're trusting Him, like not worrying and letting doubt and stuff creep in. Yeah, but I actually like not going into a 9-to-5. It doesn't mean I don't want to work on things or do things outside of that. And I'm still looking for work, but I'm feeling all right.
So let me tell you something I saw you doing that just is
around
embodies
the house,
faith. Yeah, around the house. Like physically saw you doing it. I saw you. We've been living in the house for a while, but we still got some
I know what
boxes that have not been unpacked. And my wife has been going through unboxing stuff and putting stuff together in the house, putting pictures up. I said that is a true show of faith because
I'm not losing my house.
I know, and we both believe it, and you showed you believe it by putting out those pictures. Like, look, this is where this belongs.
Yeah, well, and I actually have time. It's just so crazy how much time you have when you're not going into a 9-to-5.
Yeah, because 9-to-5s take 9 to 5.
Yeah,
plus travel,
plus
time.
More. Like, and you're usually there more than 9-to-5 unless you aren't that type of employee who stays longer, which is to each its own. There's some things that I want to work on though. Like, I want to invest. I want to be involved in business and different things, and I've been working on my things but I feel like there hasn't been like a rush or like, oh, I don't have time to do it. Oh, I'm exhausted. I can't do it. Like, I just fit it in throughout the day and do other things. And then if I want to take a break, I take a break. It's just more chill. I really enjoy it. Even with the kids being home, because I thought like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to have any time to do. I'm still able to get stuff done and do stuff with them. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, y'all be taking walks and playing in the backyard and all kinds of
like stuff that we normally wouldn't be able to do because we don't have the time to do it. So I'm not mad at it. I mean, we're trusting God, so He's gonna make sure that all of our needs are supplied. Leonard's been doing his part, and I appreciate that as far as working goes. And so yeah. Okay, so today the topic is being, well, I don't know how to phrase the title. Well, I don't know what it's gonna be called. However, we're talking about being misunderstood. And I wrote a little blurb. So it's like, do you ever feel misunderstood in your marriage or in your relationship by your spouse? Communication's a big deal. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes divorce or separate because, and I'm not saying this is the only reason, but I believe that sometimes people do because their communication is off. And we've talked about communication on the podcast. If you listen to the podcast or if you watch it on here, I feel like we bring it up a lot, but it's very important that you constantly communicate with your spouse and you talk to them and talk to God about what's going on, or even, like in a friendship or even with your children, communication is very important.
Yeah.
And so, if you're not communicating, sometimes people don't feel that they communicate effectively, right? Which can lead to being misunderstood. But I was a communication major for my undergrad, and communication is more than just what you're saying. It's also how it's being understood or interpreted. And so I just felt like it was worth talking about today.
No, it's a good topic. I think communication is obviously key, especially when we put it in the context of a marriage, because men and women are totally different in the way they think. I remember, I don't know if it was a book that we read, or it was a statement that we
It was
heard.
a lesson. Like, it was, we were in a marriage ministry and there was this lesson. Is that what you're talking
I'm
about?
not sure
About
if
how
you.
men compartmentalize things. It's just how their brain works, and
Mhm.
women are like spaghetti and men are like
That's
waffles.
exactly, yeah. Women are, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the compartments are like waffles for men. Like, they can put something in this thought pocket.
And all we thinking about right now is what's inside of that little waffle pocket,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And then with women, we're like, well, and this can't be a general statement, but I
Right.
mean, it's general for the conversation that we're having, because everybody's different and people don't all, like, everybody can't fit into the same category. However, in this study, or the lesson that we heard, that's how it broke it down. Like, women are like spaghetti. So their thoughts are like over here, over here, over here. And
And
I mean,
everything
I'm like that.
connects.
I'm like that. It
Everything
does.
connects.
It'll make me think of something else that'll start another conversation, even though I'm not done with this one. I have to get this thought out, and I'll come back to that later. And then if I even come back to it, you follow. You follow.
I do. I think as you mature in your marriage, and you start learning, and like, I can see how the stuff connects.
Yeah.
Even though it don't necessarily automatically connect to me, because I'm just in that one compartment.
But if you follow me and you go along the journey,
you gotta listen.
You're like,
you gotta
oh,
listen.
Okay. But yeah, listening is a part of communication, and being understood and misunderstood. But sometimes I think, like, we communicate and we think that we're getting a point across a certain way, and it's not being received that way. Because if you listen to our last podcast, the only person you can control is yourself. You can control the words that you share. You can determine if you're praying prior to a conversation, and hopefully God will have his way and allow the other person to understand and, be on the same page as you when you're communicating. But it's a big deal.
Huge.
It's a big deal. And when people feel that they're always right, or they're the only ones who can get a point across, and then their spouse or the other individual is always wrong, it can cause issues in your relationship.
So many.
So in our relationship, Boo, do you see, I know there's the examples, because, I pull examples from stuff that we deal with sometimes.
I throw it all into the sea of forgetfulness.
Do you?
Yeah, for the most part. Praise the Lord.
Okay. So in our relationship, do you feel misunderstood, or at times feel misunderstood by me?
I'm sure there's occasions. I don't know if I can think of anything right off the top. Maybe as we converse a little bit more, something might come to remembrance. You have something that you think?
Go ahead, I was just one came to me.
Go ahead, let it out.
And it wasn't even this. This may have been why I came up with the topic of being misunderstood.
May have been, huh?
No, it may have been, now that I'm thinking about it, because this was from a couple weeks ago. Like, we were supposed to record it already and we didn't. So this is probably where it came from.
Go ahead.
So we were driving, and I was driving yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we were driving, I was driving, and Leonard was a passenger, and we were driving on the street, and I turned and I was close to the curb, but I didn't hit the curb. And Leonard had like an extra reaction that I didn't feel, I felt was a little rude how it came off. And it was like, I don't remember. What'd you do? I'm sure you remember.
Well, first of all,
I didn't hit the curb.
She was extremely close. And
I was close to
it. And
it.
because she was driving, I wasn't obviously paying attention to where she was driving, because she was driving. So I think I was looking at my phone or something. I look up, and we, in my vision.
Just so you guys are aware, Leonard adds a little flavor to his story.
No, this is 100% solid. In my opinion,
stories.
When I looked up, we were almost on the curb.
But we weren't.
And I said, "Oh, Jesus."
But it wasn't like, oh, anyways.
What did I say?
He was extra. It was how you reacted to it. He acted like I was about to hit something, and I wasn't.
Because that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what he thought. But he wasn't driving or paying attention. But keep going.
But when we got to that, we was right there, and I was like, "Oh, Jesus!" And then that's all I said. And she said that was extra. She misunderstood my fear. So
it wasn't just the comment, "Oh, Jesus." It was his whole like, "Oh, Jesus." He didn't do it like that, but he was extra. That's my point, like super extra with it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And he was like, "Oh." But then I was like, wow. And I didn't say it was rude yet, but it was like marinating. Like, I was thinking about like his whole reaction. I was like, you're not driving. Like, let me drive.
And I did let her drive. Yeah. I was just scared for a second.
He was scared for his life. That
was my honest reaction.
He was scared for his life. And because it was his honest reaction, he felt that me commenting on how I believed that was rude, regardless, what, and you can trek with me or not. It's okay, because you're entitled to your opinion as well. But because of how extra the reaction was, I was like, man, like, I'm driving. Let me drive.
That's what you said?
I said more later, like after because it was marinating. I was like, I'm driving.
That's what you said in the moment.
No, I was like, I'm driving. You're not driving. Like I'm driving. Like let me drive. Because I don't remember because it was like weeks ago. So if you have verbatim, okay.
I'm driving. You want to drive? Why did you just go with drive?
So I said it like that.
Well, you did the extras when you said.
No, but you were being extra. So did I say it like that?
It was extra, yes.
Did I raise my voice?
Did I raise my voice?
No, I'm asking you.
No, you did it.
Okay, did I sound aggressive when I said it to you? Yeah. I sound aggressive at that point? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I said it rude.
Yeah, and I felt like your reaction was because how you felt my reaction was. So you wanted to match that reaction.
Yeah, okay, so no, that's not what happened. So I didn't get frustrated with you until we talked about it a little more. And then I was thinking about it. And then when we got on the freeway, that's when I was like, that was rude. So when we were in the vehicle and I almost hit the curb, according to Leonard, I was close to it, but I didn't hit it. And he did that reaction. I was like, I'm driving. Like, let me drive. Like, because he said it wasn't just like, oh, Jesus. It was like that. And then he was like, and then I said something like, I'm driving, let me drive. And he was like, oh, so if you're about to do something, what did you say? Keep going with the conversation then. You made a comment about, what did you say? Because that was what I thought was rude. If it endangered if it's something you're going to do is going to endanger our lives, I shouldn't let you know. You said something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when I was like, so if I'm doing something that endangers our life, like that to me was a petty comment because I'm like, why wouldn't I want you to let me know? He was trying, like you were doing something with it and I was doing something different with it. Like the conversation we weren't on the same page clearly because I felt like you were just being rude and extra. Like, and if you had a problem, then you probably should have just drove and then I could have sat there and let you do your thing. And so when we talked about it and I was like, that was rude. You changed it to me. It was rude. I was rude. So I feel like in this situation, how did you feel misunderstood? Because I feel like you must have felt misunderstood in this.
Oh, yeah, you thought my reaction was rude and it was just my reaction.
And so my reaction was also considered rude to you when I was commenting on your reaction to me. So what warrants your feelings to be valid, whereas mine were not because you determined it wasn't?
I guess the same thing that would make yours valid and mine not.
Exactly. So in that, because I felt like you're not even hearing me out and like, so, and it like marinated and I know I should have just let it go and I shouldn't have let it marinate because what's the point? The situation was over. It doesn't matter what Leonard thinks about that because he wasn't driving. But it may have been rude, but to match petty for petty, that wasn't right on my part. And so I don't, in that situation, I felt like our communication could have been better.
Yeah, no, clearly.
And I felt like I don't agree with one person's feelings being valid where the other person's aren't.
I agree with that.
If I feel that your reaction and follow-up conversation to the reaction or the comment you made was rude and you felt mine was, I don't think that it's okay. But it's your feelings. So if you felt that way, you felt that way, right? But this is just my feelings. I don't feel like it was okay for you to deem mine less valid. You know what I mean? And how I'm feeling about it, how I received it versus how you received it.
I don't think that yours is less valid. My thought is that I felt mine was just my actual reaction. I don't feel like I was doing extras.
Mine was my reaction to all that you did.
Yeah, and I hear you.
Like even if you disagree, which is okay, right? It's okay for you to disagree with me because I mean we disagreed, and Leonard felt that like, but in that, my point was because like that, for some people, something like that, like me and Leonard will talk about it, and he'll feel how he feels, and I'll feel how I feel, and it'll be what it is. But we'll like talk about it. Some people will just let it go and just let that be another drop in the bucket of something that could lead to something like where they don't want to be together later. It'll just be one more thing adding on top. They won't talk about it. They won't address the issues. And that's what we need to do in general. But my point in it was, and I know that it was like you were frustrated. Oh, and then you were frustrated with me for a while after. You were irritated. You said it later.
I was quiet.
No, I asked you. I was like, wait, you mad?
And you I said no.
Mad? No, I said, and you said no. And I was like, oh, you irritated with me? And you're like, yeah.
A little bit.
So
not with you. I was just irritated with the whole situation.
I
And I
think
wasn't holding on to it. That was like what
he
hour?
was acting
It was an
different.
hour.
I hear you, but I mean, you're acting different. So it was affecting you. It was affecting how you normally react to your spouse. And so it was bothering you, regardless of the reason why. And so, yeah, and the thing that bothered me was because I think things like, sometimes I think like, so you could feel this way, but I can't. Don't be like No, I'm saying like I do the same thing at times. Like I can't just put it on Leonard. There's sometimes that I'm feeling some kind of way and I'm like, you don't get it. Like you just don't understand how I'm feeling. But we're two different people.
And the fact is, sometimes I don't get it. Sometimes I don't
Exactly.
understand.
And I want him to see and understand. And I feel like he don't always care to understand.
I don't know about that. It's just that sometimes I just don't understand.
I hear you. So in that, what would be a corrective action for that kind of situation? So I'm not saying the same thing will happen in the future because I think because of who we are, if the same thing happened, it would then be funny. Like even if you reacted crazy and then I was
Yeah.
like the same thing could happen again, but then we'll probably laugh because of this situation, so it won't be a big deal.
I'll just hide my fear.
But instead of me having a reaction, I'll probably just my reaction will be laughter because I'll be like, there he is being extra.
And I think that's kind of
Because that's what I would.
I probably would be extra extra
It
too.
would be extra extra, and then I would be like, there you go again. See extra extra
Yeah.
extra.
I
Read
think
all about it.
yes.
Leonard got work. Leonard got reactions.
So I think that that it's different per couple because for us this is exactly how it works, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about it. I might be irritated for 15 minutes.
No, it was longer than that. Because
so.
wait, you were irritated. Hold on, let me tell you about his irritation. So were we at the water place?
No, we're coming home from the birthday party.
The birthday party that Hunter went to was so cute and honor. So, anyways, we were coming home from that. Turned on the street. Leonard had his reaction. Got on the freeway. The place was probably 15 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard was still feeling that way downstairs after a while.
But wait, while I was feeling that way, my wife asked me to make her some of the sauce. Did I make the sauce?
What does that mean?
Did I make you feel some kind of way while making the sauce?
You just were acting different.
But did I make the sauce though?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does that?
So why does it matter if I'm feeling some kind of way?
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
What?
Exactly, nothing. And so anyways, the point is that communication is important. We were both misunderstood in that. And I know that that's not the only situation where we've been misunderstood. I'm thinking I'm doing something one way and you're thinking you're doing something a different way. And I don't know all the parts or pieces to the puzzle or all the things that you're working on. We've talked about this, I think, on the podcast before. And I get frustrated because I don't see it, which I don't have to see it, but I don't know. Like, I just keep telling myself, especially now that I'm unemployed, I keep saying we're a team when I get frustrated or when I feel like, oh, why do I feel like I'm doing X, Y, and Z? Because I know you're doing a lot too. And I just remind myself, like, we're a team. We're a team. Something that I wrote, and I'll post it like on social media or something, because I wrote it and it's going to sound better than what I'm saying now, is your spouse is not, you're not in a competition with your spouse. It's not me versus you. It's like a us versus them. Not that we should really be versus anybody, but it's us together as one family unit, and like it's us trying to strive to do better and be better Christ followers. It's us striving to be provide a life for our children that is pleasing to God and hopefully struggle free as possible. I mean, life is full of struggles, but and like being our best selves, being the best versions of who God's created us to be. And there's no place in that for me feeling I'm doing more than you, or you feeling you're doing more than me feeling that your feelings are valid and mine aren't, or vice versa, or anything like that. Not if we want a successful relationship. Yeah. And I think that I know that communication is a big part of that. You have to be able to talk, and it's okay to be in your feelings sometimes, but then you got to let that go, and you really have to die to self. Like, that's really important. And so die to self is a term that's used in Christendom, in the Christian community, where it's talking about, sometimes an easy way to understand it is not always doing the things you desire to do or want to do for whatever, for the greater good or for the purpose that God's calling you to, or,
Yeah.
for a bigger purpose.
It's knowing that it's not about you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like this family is not about Leonard. It's about us.
Mm-hmm.
Dying to self is realizing that and putting that into practice.
Yeah. And sometimes, like in your relationships, there's going to be areas where you fall short and your spouse has to pick up the slack, and vice versa. There's going to be times where, you just are doing 200%, 150%, and they're doing 50%. Or, yeah, it's just not always like, let me write down the things that I'm doing. And this is what he's doing. What? That's what he's doing. I'm doing all this, or vice versa. Like, that's not how you have a successful marriage. It's not a marriage where you're keeping record of who did what and who deserves glory and who doesn't, or anything like that. It's about a team effort. And I think it's really easy. And I think the enemy has a way, well, that was probably us, but I think the enemy has a way of playing a part in helping you to feel misunderstood, and planting like little seeds in your mind about like, yeah, see, they don't appreciate this, or see, they just let you do X, Y, and Z, or, like whatever things that it is that people have issues with in their relationship. But is there any other situations where you feel misunderstood? And look, guys, we're being transparent. Sometimes we talk to each other about things that are dumb, because I feel like it's kind of dumb, but it turns out to be funny later. So usually, and sometimes depending on my mood too, or Leonard's mood, I think how we receive it, we could say something, just laugh. Yeah. Like be like, you can't drive, because Leonard be acting like that.
You wouldn't laugh at that.
It depends on my mood. Because, for example, when Leonard was in his mood after all that, when we were at home and he made my sauce for me, like as if he shouldn't make the sauce because he's in a mood.
And that's the point I was trying to make.
What?
Like, no matter how you feeling, a mood is temporary.
Right.
You know what I mean? So no matter how you feeling, you still need to do what you need to do. Like make the sauce.
Yeah.
So I made it.
Like when push comes to shove, I still love you.
Of course.
Even if I feel that I'm not validated by you. Thank God people are not under subjection to other people, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about what God has for us and what God wants us to do. Because if we were tit for tat, which sometimes I think, we could be probably like sometimes not intentionally, but I mean like when I said something and then you said something and then I said something, like I feel like that was tit for tat.
Yeah, that's an example. It was brief though.
Like, it was brief, but it's still done.
There's a lot of. I'm not gonna compare us to other people, but
no, yeah, don't.
But people in some couples will take that to the extreme and they just keep on going.
Yeah, but it's a piece of it. Like, we don't. Yeah, like because you should never. I don't think anyone should ever look at another relationship like, oh, at least we don't do that. I mean, people do it because that's your partner, so you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, But we shouldn't be judging because you never know what lies in your lap later. You know what I mean? So I think it's really important for us to just focus on what we can do and how we can be better. And I think it's the same thing for any person in a relationship, is you need to focus on what God's calling you to do, what the word says, and how you can be better. Mm-hmm. We should all do that.
That's it. That's all.
But yeah, and sometimes, Leonard can be petty sometimes.
Not me.
If you're listening, he did a face. So Leonard can be petty. He likes to be petty sometimes, and I mean it's in our humor with each other. Yeah, like
my petty is playful. I'm never like
his. Oh Jesus! It was probably playful, but I wasn't in the mood for that.
That was my honest reaction. I wasn't trying to be petty there.
You should have heard it, guys.
I'm sorry for calling on the Lord at all times. Huh?
It's okay that
for
you
praying without ceasing.
But don't bring him into something that's like that.
Like what?
Were you trying to be some kind of way? In that moment, he wasn't. See, he was being misunderstood because that was genuine feelings. He felt like he was gonna die. And we didn't even hit the curb, or we weren't that close to it. But in Leonard's mind, we were on the curb.
It was on my side of the car. I had a good vision of what was
he was on his phone. So I think your vision acuity could be a little off when you're on your phone and then you look up briefly too. But anyways. So yeah, but being misunderstood. Sometimes there's been times in our relationship though that I felt misunderstood. I feel like I have felt that I shared something and then it wasn't received how I intended it to be, received, which is understandable. One thing that I learned in communication when I was in school was when you communicate something, you should check for understanding to make sure that they
Thank you, Boo.
understand it. I got you. But to make sure that the person understands what you're saying well and that they get it, right? At least in concept of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, they start internalizing, you don't know. We don't know what a person's thought process is. And life's experience, I think, kind of plays into that. What they've been through, etc., will determine. And I mean, when you've been in this game for a minute and you've been married for a while, you are going to know your spouse. There's
Yeah.
stuff that Leonard says, and I'm not. He's not lying. It's what he's saying, and I'm like, but I know you.
What do you
So
mean?
I know that there's thoughts behind it. Like you'll say something, and on the surface, I know that's what it is. However, knowing you, it's like a thought process behind it, and I understand that there's more to it. That's what I mean. And it's the same with me. I'll say something to you, and you'll be like,
Yeah, like the chips.
"What about the?"
I don't know what's going on
Oh
with
my
these chips.
gosh. Okay. So I got some Flamin' Hots, and Leonard wanted them. But in my mind, I'm already thinking some stuff. Nothing to do with the chips. Leonard comes in the room and is like, "Can I have those chips?" Or is that
First of all, it was only a little bit of chips left. Let's point that out. You try to make
it was like a fourth of the bag. A fourth of the bag. It wasn't that much.
Yeah, and
but I'm already feeling some kind of way and thinking some stuff. And then here he comes asking for something, and I'm not even thinking about that. And then I just pause and I look. And so he's like, he puts them down, like, never mind, you don't want them. And I'm like, just take, you can have the chips. But I'm thinking, like, why is such a reaction? I didn't answer you. You just saw my face when I was thinking about other things, and I even clarified it. So sometimes maybe I am just misunderstood. I mean, you don't believe me. I think that there's times that
I ate the chips, didn't I?
Yeah, he sure did eat those chips, but he made it to do about it.
You wanted?
I didn't want to. I really didn't.
What you mean? I made it to do about it?
No, the action. Like maybe that's your thing. Like maybe now that we're talking about this, maybe you are a reactor. Like you'll do an action, and I can read the action. I'm like, oh, here we go, because I knew from your action that you were like, oh, she don't want me to have the chips, and it was like, you can have them. I didn't even know I was gonna finish them, to be real with you.
Nah, the way you said, it was something behind that. Nah,
yeah, it was other things I was thinking. That's what I'm saying. It had to do with you. The other things I was thinking had to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't. But the chips, nobody cares about those chips. So I was being misunderstood in that sense too. I guess I'm always misunderstood. Just
kidding. I'm Mr. Understood. That's what I did there. No.
So yeah, but yeah, okay.
What was that show?
It wasn't a show. It was a pastor. Stop it. That's not nice.
It was funny.
So, anyways, that's like when he was getting a point and it was getting good. He did that.
No, he made a joke and he thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, like so yeah. You're right. Okay. So, anyways, but yeah, being misunderstood. So, Boo, what do you have to add about that?
I think that misunderstandings are a way to come together.
If you approach it that way.
Yeah, and then you said something a little while ago about communication and making sure that that your understanding, and that's something that we teach with our customer service for the hotel that I run, is that when you get a guest complaint, you listen to them, but it has to be intentive listening. So you're not listening just to hear what they're saying. You're actually listening to pull out what they're actually saying, and then after you listen, you reiterate. Right. So what I'm understanding you to say is that your room didn't have blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the same thing will work in your marriage and your conversations. What I'm understanding you to say is that I'm extra when I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And from there, we go
to an extent. You're just extra. When I thought I was going to die, that part.
No, it's for the sake of the conversation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's it. That's all.
Yeah, that's interesting though. Yeah, being misunderstood, I think, is a really big deal though, and I think that it can cause frustration. And then if you don't communicate on top of that, so say you say something or you have a reaction or whatever the situation is, and then your spouse receives it and they feel some kind of way, but they internalize it and don't say anything about it. I feel like sometimes back in the day, especially early on in our marriage, it was like pulling teeth to try to get Leonard to talk about stuff. You've gotten better over time, but you still don't just. I feel like sometimes if I don't bring it up, we wouldn't talk about some of the things. Why is that?
Because I really be just letting stuff go. Like, unless if it's a big deal, then obviously we're going to talk about it. But I'll be like, this is not worth the conversation.
But you say that, like, and that's another thing. And I think that also plays into validity of feelings and validity of where a person's coming from, because you determine, Like it could be something that bothers me and you feel like I'm gonna just let it go because it's not a big deal. But to me, it like is.
I hear you,
And then I'm like
and that's
frustrated
valid.
because yeah, it is
Yeah,
valid.
no,
And
seriously.
I agree. It is valid.
Yeah.
But then like the issue arises then that I'm trying to deal with something that you feel is not an issue and then we're not on the same page because that's frustrating. It's frustrating to try to get your point across or try to share something with your spouse that's bothering you and then like receive it, internalize it, and that's the end of the conversation. And it's like, did you what's your thoughts? Like there's no discussion, there's no nothing. I just shared it with you and that's it. And so I guess I'm getting over it on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and but you also know like
Process.
how I process, right? So if we
Mm-hmm.
having a conversation, sometimes I don't have anything to say immediately. Sometimes I sit on it, and sometimes I have to meditate on what you said and then go from there. So
But I've never recalled you really bringing. It's a very rare occasion. I guess that's if you feel like something's worth bringing up, that you'll bring something back up. Like you'll, especially if, like, say we're good, right? I mean, and I don't want you guys to be thinking like we be tripping out because we don't. We just talk. But if like, say we're good and like it's not an issue, like I'm not talking about it anymore. I don't see you just coming out of nowhere bringing it up again after you've thought about it and stuff.
yeah, what I would try to do is internalize it, process it, and then change behavior.
I've noticed that about you though. I notice you do that.
Yeah.
So you do that. Yeah, you do. That's good.
But in addition, what you would like is to change behavior and also the communication about it.
Yeah.
And I get it. See,
Yeah.
and that goes back to the waffle spaghetti because I'm like, okay, this is what you don't like right here in this box. Let me change that.
Or not do it or just
Yeah,
stay away from that box.
yeah. But then with you, it's like, okay, yeah, let's talk about how this connects to this and how when you do this, because there's more things, probably just that one thing that's in that box that has that kind of that is affected by whatever the conversation is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so it makes sense why spaghetti is out there. You know what I mean?
That's why waffles and spaghetti, although it's not a blend that you'd be like, let me have some
They're
waffles and
both
spaghetti.
carbs.
They go well together in the sense of marriage.
Yeah.
Like the mind of a man and the mind of your spouse, your woman, your wife is because like it's important. Like both are needed. Sometimes there's things like that if we're tackling together, then we have a larger amount of insight, larger perspective on from because we have both of our views to it. Even though when you're married, I feel like